Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Inside Artesian Football here on WRAP 15 Sports. I'm your host, Eric Meyer, joined as always by Artesian head coach Carter Whitson. The Artesians get their opening round win, actually the second round of the sectionals. They beat Bloomington North and will advance once again to the Sectional Championship, once again against Bloomington High School South, this time, though, down at Fred Huff Field in Bloomington on the campus of Bloomington South. Coach, we're going to talk today about the game against Bloomington North and against Bloomington South. Take a look at some of the highlights, but let's go back to the Bloomington North contest. It's a not very good weather. Still had a decent crowd turned out, not what we hoped for, but weather, the conditions not very good. You guys kind of had to muddle through, both teams did, the majority of the first half of play. Then you hit a big play there right at the end, and that kind of just gave you the momentum to go ahead with the big time win.
That's exactly right. You know, playing in the rain in any sport's tough. You know, both teams have to do it, but winning in the rain is hard to do. So if you can survive that, and we did this the first half, survived it with, you know, kind of a stalemate of nothing really happening, and then we hit them with just a huge dagger right at the end of the half. You know, it was good. It's good to have Andy Myers back, and Travis really likes having multiple weapons out there. So that play right there was a dagger, and you know, obviously it kind of propelled us into the second half, which we, you know, kind of rode that momentum.
You guys were able to get a field goal there to start opening the game, and it looked like, they kept you out of the end zone, but you score points. It looked like a contest maybe you guys would be able to score some points, but like you said, really slow going there in that first half of play.
Yeah, and you know, at this point in time in the season, you're going to play people that have prepared for you and that are playing, you know, probably their best ball of the year. I felt like we didn't play our best offensive game of the year, especially in the first half, but you're going to get everybody's best shot. You know, beating Bloomington North's awesome. We want to beat Bloomington South. We'll beat a homeschool team. We don't care. We just, whoever it is, they're going to play well against us, and you know, we'll find out who's next after we win.
Like we said, we had a nice play to end the first half of play with Andy Myers getting back into the mix. Kind of started off the first half with a nice pass on a little RPO there. Was able to catch it and pull it in, and then ends the first half, like we said, with that big catch in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we hit some big plays, which we always talk about. That always makes my job so much easier as an offensive coordinator, to call plays and not have to call 13 of them in a drive, but just to call 3 or 4 plays, and our guys will do the rest on a big play. I felt like we missed a few big plays too. You know, we had good pass protection, and then we kind of had little T-Rex arms and didn't quite get to those long passes and complete those to make it even a better offensive game for us.
Well, we talked a little bit about it as well. You did here. We're talking about offensively not able to get some points on the board in the first half, but the defense doing what the defense has done all season long.
That's exactly
keeping them
right.
out of the end zone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, they do their job. They're playing really well. Those defensive coaches came up to me at halftime, and they're saying, you know, do we need to change anything? I said, if you change anything, you're all fired because you're doing too well right now. There's no need to panic. There's nothing that we need to change. We need to stick to the plan and do that. And, you know, as we've seen Bloomington South over the past 2 years, we've really learned that. When we play our defense, we're in good shape. Whenever we try and think a little bit too much and our kids are hesitant, you know, we're not in attack mode, we're not the same. So, you know, it was something, you know, we kind of learned from Mooresville. We also saw, you know, last week at Bloomington North of how we've evolved as a coaching staff too.
You guys were able to get the 3 points in the special teams department. We talked about the offense, the defense, also mentioned Caleb with the special teams. But in addition to him, also had a couple of punt blocks as well that allowed you guys to get some easy points there in the second half.
Yeah, and it goes back to us being aggressive. You know, we talked about special teams and had a little bit more emphasis on that this year, and you can see it's been a big difference maker. We blocked a punt versus Bloomington South in week 2. We've got a few more since then. We've got a kickoff return since then. So we're trying to emphasize that a little bit more and realize that that's a big part of the game, and not just worry about offense, defense, and the effort and the you know, locked in thinking about it and concentrating on it has really paid off.
Artesians with a big win over Bloomington North on Friday night, a cold, wet night out at Ciderwitz Field. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights as Martinsville here on the defense to start the contest.
Yeah, very first drive, you can just see, you know, they got a few yards on us, which is fine, but then when they're going to throw the ball against us, our guys are going to get after it, our D-line's going to attack, and we're going to have success. Here's the first play of the game. We wanted to let everybody in the state know that Andy Myers was back and hit him with a deep post. If we, it's soaking wet out there. Even on the first play, the ball's wet. So if Travis threw a little bit better ball, it would have been a touchdown, but it was still a nice big gain. And then there you go. That's a long field goal in the rain. It shows you how talented Caleb is. Again, I always say and remind people he's kicking off grass instead of a tee. He's just special. Back on offense again after a good, easy stop. Travis makes a great play right here. We kind of misblock a bubble block, and it just kind of shows you the ability for him to improvise and make a play with the ball in his hands. I know people really focus in on stopping him on the run, so it's good to see him get open a little bit. There's Garrett Miles, senior corner, with another interception. Him and Seth now lead the team with 4 interceptions each, and they're just playing extremely well. Bloomington North gets down here with a little bit of a field position change, and they got their 3 points. Our defense did a really good job. I think they only gave up about 5 yards in that drive. We just didn't do very much offensively to help us out. There's Logan Byram right there. Go real quick on a screen play, getting out there. But go back to Logan Byram. He almost set the school record for sacks in a game. I think we made up the school record just to give him a little motivation, but he played awesome. The rest of the D-line does almost every Friday night. There we go, getting back in empty, and Travis has the ability to run or throw it. Same play right here. Offensive line can really focus in on who they're blocking whenever we can spread out the field and get an open box, and Travis will go where they're not. We always talk about that. A little shot right here to Isaac Osborne, again, getting our tailbacks the ball in the open field. People are concentrating on the run. They're daring us to throw it, so we're finding ways to throw the ball, whether it's down the field or out in the open. There you go, right there. That's right at the end of the first half. That was the dagger to Andy Myers. Drags his feet. Big touchdown to go into halftime with a little momentum. And then we get out here. There's our first drive of the second half, and Isaac does what he's been doing all year. He should have a little chip on his shoulder this week because they're ready to. They keep talking about stopping Travis. Well, Isaac needs to have a great game Friday night. Here's what we've done all year, and almost in an amazing way. People have got down to the tight zone and down to the red zone, and then we've stopped them. Whether it was on a 4th and goal or whether it was on a 3rd and goal, and now they're on the 35-yard line. Our defense has stepped up. We have no give up in us. We're always going to play hard until the last whistle, and it's always awesome to see that. They go from scoring a touchdown easy on the 1-yard line to getting 0 points out of that. Sprint out pass here, getting the ball to another senior wide receiver. It's had a great year, Michael Hopple. That group right there, no one has overwhelmingly great stats because every one of them has a bunch of catches and a bunch of yards. How about this right here, 65-yard kick by not just our kicker, but our punter, Caleb Urban, and then, just great coverage with a handful of guys, Billy Bias and TJ McGraw, some guys you don't hear their names all the time. There you go, there's Seth trying to match Garrett with his 4th interception of the year. Seth, for smaller guy, plays huge and plays almost every snap for us offensively and defensively. There's Isaac again. We thought he was going to throw his head up in the air and finish that one on a long run too. But this is getting back to us kind of grinding and going at people. Brian Johnson with a good block there. The offensive line played well, really got their momentum going once they got settled in after the first half. And here we go back defensively with another Logan Byram sack. You could have showed a bunch of those. That's a senior that just prepares really well, practices hard and plays hard. And there we go again, another special teams play with a botched punt where we get the ball on the 1-yard line, and those are always great drives for the offense to come out, and we already know we're down there. So we can run it right at him. Tyler Cox bounces an inside zone outside because he's pretty fast, and we all know that. So, Tyler gets out in the open field, and we always feel pretty good about that.
Able to, we saw the scores there late, pulls away from Bloomington North, and really we talked about it last week as well. The score doesn't really make any difference. The end result, get a win, move on. Yep. That's what you do. Yep. And now it sets up a matchup coming up on Friday night. Sectional Championship for the 2nd straight years. You'll battle Bloomington High School South. Battled them in the 2nd week of the season. Let's kind of start there. Where have you seen some of the things that have maybe changed for Bloomington South, or some things that maybe you see that they've done different or start to do or execute better in the 7 games since? Yeah,
when you look at Bloomington South, if you know anything about those guys and their history and the success they've had, they know that Indiana high school football is about preparing for the tournament. So, maybe they didn't have the greatest, regular season record playing in a tough conference, but they know they're getting primed for the playoffs. Last year, you saw that at our place. They won 2 games to even get to the sectional championship last year, and then, played us and played extremely well, and we didn't play very good. But that's what Coach Mo does down there. He gets them ready for the tournament, they'll be playing the best ball they've played all year Friday night.
It's a team, too, Bloomington South. We talked about it when we saw him in week number 2. Mo's going to do what Mo's going to do. He's been doing it now since he went to Carmel and came back. He used to run a little bit of a different offense when he had Rex Grossman and the likes down there. A little bit of different offense, but he's changed things a little bit. It's kind of spread things out. They do a lot of that zone read stuff. And they've been doing it, and they do it very well. What, though, are we going to see out of them on Friday night?
You'll see, for how much that they can adapt, and he has done different things, they kind of stick to their guns whenever they know what they're good at. They're going to try and run the ball at you. They don't necessarily run an outside zone. They run a little B-gap zone to where their little tailback can get going downhill, and we really got to focus on stopping that. They do a great job of finding a formation to where they get numbers and then using that to their advantage. So they'll come back to that on a key play. They're smart enough, they're patient enough. They don't use it every play. On a key play, they'll go back to something they believe is going to work.
Offensively, we talk about what they do offensively, and it's really a run-oriented team for them. They will spread you out. They will throw it and have been known to throw it and pass, but they're going to try to run it. Defensively, he's kind of been doing the same thing, I think, forever, but what are we going to see out of him on Friday night? Yeah,
they play a little bit different defense than we've seen recently. Almost maybe similar to Plainfield, to where they're playing 3 down linemen, almost a 3-3 stack. They've got overhang linebackers on the outside that can either come off the edge or drop back into a drop 8 coverage. So they're flexible with what they do. I think formationally, you can hopefully, very similar to what they do offensively, we can get them into what we want formationally, and then, like we always talk about, we're going to go where they ain't. If we call run and they're all in there to stop the run, we're going to throw the ball. And if we got a pass called and they're, all out there, we're going to run it right at them. So we'll adjust just like they will. They'll have a good plan for us. They've had a little chip on their shoulder since week 2. They weren't real happy with us with how that one finished early in the season. But, in the same way, we have a chip on our shoulder last year because they got the sectional championship at our place. So, both of them, either way, when I took this job, we talked about, Bloomington South's our rival. And I was like, you got to beat somebody for it to be your rival. So now that we've got that established, it's a good, friendly, respectful rivalry that I think that we'll have for a long time.
Obviously, the fans have believed Bloomington South's a rival for quite some time around here, so I'm sure they'll turn out in good numbers for the contest on Friday night. This week, a little bit of a challenge, the fact that you've had some weather issues. You've got rain again here tonight. How has the week of practice gone for you guys?
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal week. We're a veteran team. We got a bunch of seniors. We will adjust when we need to. We've adjusted pregame. We've adjusted practices. Regardless of weather, we have the facilities where we can get that done. So yeah, but weather's going to be great tomorrow night. We're excited about that. We've had a bunch of wet games. This one's going to be dry. It might be a little chilly, but that's okay. 37 or whatever, Interstate 69 is perfectly wide open, so we need a bunch of people traveling down south to make it feel like our place, like we do whenever we go on the road most of the time.
Yeah, I think they're going to be taking a fan bus down there as well. I think Doc Sears is offering up free B-dubs.
Yeah, I was gonna ride with them.
I was too.
Yeah.
Just we'll meet there and have some free B-dubs and get out to the game and then get set up and ready to go. Big contest, like we said, coming up. You've got to be excited, coaching staff. Once again, that's your goal, to get here, to continue to make that trek 29 miles, getting inching a little bit closer there to Lucas Oil. But you guys got to be ecstatic to be able to be here in your second year and in another sectional championship.
Yeah, we are, and we feel so much. Last year we were going into it with a 6-game winning streak, but we weren't quite there yet. We feel like if we play well now, we're in a spot to where we can beat people. So that's always exciting, but we're chomping at the bit. We've been, we were ready Tuesday after practice. We're like, let's just, let's get this going. Let's play them. Very similar to last week versus Bloomington North with 2 weeks. We know what we're doing. We know what we do. We've got a good head start on watching these guys because we got, weeks to prepare for them early in the season. So yeah, it's sectional championship. We want that trophy, but we want that trophy because it gets us a step closer to the real trophy.
Real quick, what are things you guys are going to have to do, some keys to the game to come away with that sectional championship?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to out-physical them. They're going to run the ball and we're going to run the ball. We need to, win one-on-one battles with that. In the same way, we're going to have to throw the ball. Very fortunately, it'll finally be a dry night, so we'll be able to handle the ball a little bit better. So we'll have some different wrinkles in for that. But it's going to be a grind, offensively, defensively. Who can win up front? Who can take care of the ball, and then maybe a special teams player too that can really change the momentum.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. See you again next week out here. We'll see you there on Friday, and we'll see that beard a
Keep
little
it
bit
growing,
longer,
right?
Keep it going. All right, Coach, we appreciate it. We'll see you there on Friday night.
All right, thanks.
Artesian head coach Carter Whitson here inside Artesian Football. Martinsville coming up on Friday night on the road. It's the sectional championship as they battle the Bloomington High School South Panthers. As always, Coach, we appreciate you coming in. For the head coach, along with the RTV2 class who helped produce it, I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian Football.
Hey!